Stay down. All right, so today we're doing another podcast for PA Bluecollar Outdoors. We're kind of doing a different one. We're doing another interview. We got my dad here, and Cody, and my dog's here also. We're going to talk a little bit about an older hunter and his some hunting stories, which we kind of like to hear on other podcasts. So we figured he brought like his racks in here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about them. We're going to ask him some questions and see how hunting kind of used to be and get some answers, because things were a lot different back then with point restrictions and rules and not having to wear orange and stuff. And
well, you still had to wear orange.
well, you didn't have to wear orange all the time. Well, you said when you were a kid that.
Well, that's before I got any of these.
Well, see, you got to experience that. We didn't. We have to wear 250 square inches of orange and then a hat also. Whereas you, when you first started hunting, you didn't have to wear orange at all.
I'm just going to note that you just called your dad old, so I think he should beat you up.
We had to bring somebody of the.
I'm a senior citizen.
Yeah, and he has a license to prove it too.
But. Well, yeah. Welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you guys stopping in.
Damn.
I'll get this one uploaded to Spotify a little sooner. This time it took like almost 2 weeks to do that. So. Yeah, we're going to get started. I'm kind of just going to let William kind of orchestrate this one because he has a better idea. But I do have a couple questions for you, Stan, so I'm going to ask you some questions in there.
Go ahead.
But let's get started, and here we go.
A bunch of dog hair on it. Here's the dog. The dog's Tucker, by the way. So we're going to start with this one. You can hold it and then talk about it. Tucker likes antlers too.
Yeah.
So
you should chew on it.
When did you shoot that?
1996.
I think it says 86.
I mean, yeah, 1986. Excuse me.
So long ago.
Yeah. So this was before point restrictions, as you know. So it's only a 6-point.
Right.
And you and your dad mounted this, right? With like just the skull plate on there and made this.
Yep.
And that was kind of the thing back then people did with their antlers
yeah, he used to hang out with that guy that did stuff in Butler, that Co Emery. He was a taxidermist.
Well, were European mounts popular?
No, I never even heard of them.
So you never did those ever?
Nope.
I guess maybe in Europe, they would have did those. So they didn't. This is what they did. This is what they used to do. This stuff. Just a plaque.
I've seen him with not even no covering on. He just.
Is that leather?
Yeah, just leather
deer hide
with
buckskin
with like lace almost.
Yeah,
and kind of fancy brad nails, I guess.
Stuff you buy down there. Where is it?
The fabric store.
Yeah, fabric store. Right.
And then you just make a plaque and stain it and hang it up.
Your grandfather cut them out
with a router or whatever and
bandsaw.
All right. Well, enough about that. So let's hear the whole story behind it.
Well, there was a lot of snow on the ground that year. I do remember that.
Was it December?
Yeah, it was like the first day. And back then, you had 2 weeks of buck season, and then you hunted those after that, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It was in for 3 days. So all you was hunting here is buck back then. Yep, there wasn't no point restrictions.
Yeah.
Anything that had a horn, I think 3 inches or longer was legal.
Just one horn?
One, yeah, as long as it was 3 inches.
Wow. That's crazy. I wouldn't have thought that at all.
See. Yeah, what the hell? Oh, no, what? Trying to think who else was there. Oh, Chuck Moore's dad was there, and Braden Weitzel was there. They might have had their guns, but I don't even think they had them out. They were just sitting there in a pickup.
So you were really the only one hunting?
Yeah. I tried it across the road for a little while. I didn't hear nothing or see anything. So I come back across the road to the pickup. Then I walked out to from the church, where that Ryder Church was. And I walked down below. There's kind of a big hill there where I was. So I'm out away from the church there, probably a couple hundred yards.
How much snow would you think?
There was
a foot?
I'm thinking maybe 5 or 6 inches.
Okay.
So I'm just standing there and I'm looking around. Oh, I went to heard all this shooting. I think it's around, it was 9 o'clock or 9:30. I heard all this shooting. So I'm standing there looking and listening. So there's like a valley I look down into. Oh, once this buck jumps out, jumped across the road. Then there's a big field on the other side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Them guys must have shot 12 or 14 shots at it before I seen it.
How many guys was there? Like 3 or 4?
Yeah, it was about 5 or 6.
Oh, wow.
They didn't hit it. After it jumped across the road, it ran into the field a little ways and stopped. And it's looking back up where it came from.
So this was on public ground.
That's private ground on that
Okay.
Smith farm.
But they were hunting there too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was kind of public. I
Yeah.
guess.
So I cranked off about, I think, 3 rounds. I finally knocked them down. So I started down there toward and I fell down because it was so damn slippery.
Yeah.
I got back up again.
After you already shot at it.
Yeah, I knocked it down.
Okay.
So I started down there after it. I can't remember. It was pretty slippery. It was a steep
Was it
bank.
steep? Okay.
Yeah, I jumped off and jumped down onto the road and jumped down there. It was down. It wasn't going anywhere. I got down there to it. And them other guys were coming down, shooting at it. So I had a couple rounds left in the gun. It was trying to get up, so I finished it off there. They come down and looked at it, didn't say nothing. So I got it out there and tagged it.
Now, did you have to put the tag in the ear back then, or where did it go?
Yeah.
In the ear. Okay.
Yeah. Chuck's dad come down. That's right. I said, here's the keys. Bring the pickup down. So he walked back up and got my pickup while I was getting that out. That's right. So he drove down there, drove down the driveway. I drug it about from here to the street, drove it on the pickup.
So 100 yards.
More even that.
Yeah. So back then, that was like considered a big deer.
Yeah. Back
you
then
didn't
it
see
was.
stuff like that around
No,
here
you
at
didn't
all.
have no point restrictions or nothing either, but that's a big deer.
Back then.
Yeah, back then.
That was like 40 years ago now, I'd say.
86.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
1986. Wow. I mean, it's still relatively large.
Yeah, it's actually, yeah.
I mean, today,
Honestly,
even.
first glance, I didn't know it wasn't legal.
Yeah, but like.
Actually, that's the first buck I ever
In here,
shot, I
around
think. No, that's the second one.
The first one was small, you said.
It's a little
And
scrawny.
you didn't bring it.
No.
How old were you when you shot that?
Let me see. That was the year I bought that brand new pickup, that Pittsburgh Penguin puck truck.
That year.
No. I'm trying to think that one I shot at Weeds. That was the first 4-wheel drive I had.
Oh, it's probably in the early 80s.
Yeah. 80 maybe.
So, what gun did you use when you shot that?
One I give you, that inner orange 270, that full stock
Full
one.
stock. And that's an old gun.
Yeah,
was
which I don't have no more.
It was made in like the 70s.
No, 80s I bought that.
80s. So early 80s, and you got a deer with it. That gun company's completely out of business now.
Yep.
In the 90s, they went out of business.
Inner Arms, Sam Cummings run that.
Yeah, and they're partially made in England.
Yeah, that's where they're finished, man. The workmanship's really good on them. For all the more I paid for that gun, I paid a little over $200 for it.
Yeah, they're pretty nice because I have a 243 one, and they're nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they don't make them anymore, and
I'm more interested in the mount itself. So everything on there is handmade, other than the lace or whatever you want to call it.
And these, yeah.
Yeah.
We took, I can't think what you call it. I can see it in that can now. It's like some kind of wood putty you mixed up with water.
Okay.
It's got a guy like standing there holding something up. That's what we use to cover this up with.
Okay.
So you just form that over top of the skull plate.
So then
you cut this to fit around it.
Okay. So the hide itself is on there though, but then
we just glued that on there.
Oh, okay.
Over top of that putty.
But did you do it backwards, like the
No, that's deer hide tan without the hair on it. They
Yeah,
took
okay.
the hair
So
off.
you took the hair off. Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. Because I don't know really
Yeah.
much about that. If that's why I was wondering if the hair was taken
No,
off. And
the
then
hair
you,
was taken
okay,
off.
all right.
Yeah. Yeah, you
That's
used to
cool.
get them tan for like $30. Probably cost you $100 today.
Nobody does it anymore.
Yeah,
Well, them
no one really.
taxidermists do. They send them off someplace to get it
Yeah, if they're
done.
making a mount or something, but not necessarily just to
I
have
got a
laying
bunch of that
around.
someplace. I don't know where it's at.
So you didn't tan it. You just took your deer hides in and had somebody else do it, and then you
Yeah, I
get
used
it
to
back.
take them out to that guy in 356, that Jim Bates. He was good. He was a taxidermist. He's
So is that
passed
from
on.
the deer that you
No,
shot, or from a different one?
no, that's from a different one.
Okay.
That your dad probably had.
Yeah.
Around or whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
Like I said, he used to hang out with that co-emmer. He was a big taxidermist there in Butler.
Wow.
So like a sub question from like what you were talking about, hunting with other guys and stuff. How come you don't really hunt with anybody else other than William now? Like, is there no any of your buddies that are
Them
still
guys don't hunt
hunting?
anymore.
No, they just stopped hunting.
Yeah, Chuck Moore, he don't hunt no more. Doug Brown don't.
All the other people are gone, really.
Yeah, that's what
he was saying.
I hunted with that guy here, small game before deer season. I run into a guy. Oh, he just parked there, the same place I parked. He goes, he invited me along to hunt with him, so I did. Here he is from South Carolina. I hunted with him for like 3 or 4 hours.
That was an archery season.
Nah, that was in small game season.
Yeah, but it was archery season at the time.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't hunt archery, so.
We were hunting small game.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, though. Like, just give a perspective on.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us kind of to your next deer here.
Yeah, that's the biggest one I ever got.
So you shot that one in 1997.
Yep. There's a lot of snow that year. There was
And
probably a foot or better on the ground that deer season. I think I shot that. That deer season was still like that deer season. You hunted 2 weeks of buck and then 3 days of doe. So this was like the first Friday of the first week. Let's see.
I just want to note I was 4 years old.
This was a fifth. This was the 5th day of the season. I shot this one.
So it was just like that one. There would be a designated buck season for so many days, and then a designated.
They come in on Mondays like it used to. Monday was always the first day because you always had it off from school when I went to school.
So school.
So Monday after Thanksgiving, always.
School gave it off for you then.
Yeah, down where I lived,
They don't do that anymore.
No.
Oh, now it comes in on Saturday.
Well, yeah,
now.
even when I was in school, though, it would still come in on a Monday, and they didn't give you it off, but everybody just took off anyhow.
Mhm.
So I don't understand.
So I hunted on this farm across from where I used to live.
Where you grew up at?
Yeah, there was 2 farms there. I had like 300 acres to hunt on.
By yourself, or they hunted too?
No.
Other people hunted? No. Okay.
Yeah, them guys didn't.
Okay.
I kind of had the whole place to myself. They might have archery hunted now and then. That one guy's grandson, but I went back there. I was back there Sunday looking around.
The Sunday before.
Yeah, day before deer season, see any tracks, and
In the snow.
I did shoot another deer down. I didn't tell you about that. About down the cow pasture.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sit in this fence line. You could watch the whole cow pasture. So just as I got down there, these 2 grandsons of his come down, and they see me sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go up in here, we're tracking one or something like that. So go ahead, I'm going to sit here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they weren't gone, I bet 10 minutes. Here comes Mr. Deer out the trail where they come from.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Behind them?
Yeah, it was about from here to your Jeep. I shot him.
Was it a buck?
Yeah, it was a buck.
Oh, wow.
First day of buck season. I'm down there gutting it out, and the guy goes, "Where'd you get that?" I said, "Right here."
That's funny.
Yeah, they were all mad. They stormed out of there.
How big was that deer?
I think it might have been maybe a 6-point. I shot it with that 272. I remember because I had that knife.
Which 270?
That
The
same one.
Ruger.
No, the other one.
Okay.
Inner arms.
Okay.
I remember I got that knife from down at work. The Them ones you change the blades
Yeah,
on.
a case knife.
I
Yeah.
used to gut it out. Yep, I forgot about that.
So what year was that?
That's before this.
So probably in the
It was
90s.
after
then.
that one. Yeah,
Early 90s.
right. So when I went back, I'm looking around. I said, I'm going to try another
So this
place.
is back to you were looking on
Yeah,
Sunday.
I'm looking on Sunday here, and I was in the same fence line, but I tried down further. There was another fence line went up over the hill. It come down there and made a corner.
Now this was a dairy farm, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but on the other side of that fence was posted. On this fence that ran this way, but you had all this area down here to hunt. So I'm looking around there and I see some different tracks here. They look like they were pretty big. So I'll try it down here. So I'm hunting down here. It's like a big hill. Fence line runs the whole way down here and it comes down and goes down into the cow pasture. So I'm hunting down this corner like.
Mm-hmm. Now, you didn't really ever hunt out of tree stands, or you just kind of walked
I
around.
always hunted on the ground.
You like would walk around, scout, look around, and
I
just
stood a lot too.
kind of will stand or still hunt wherever,
Because
like just on a fence row or
there wasn't a lot of woods there. There's more fields than anything.
Okay.
Anything could cross
So
there
you can't
anywhere.
really hide anywhere either, or put a tree stand if you had to.
I was down by a tree standing by it. I just looked up there. It was around, I'm thinking around 9:15 in the morning. Here comes this deer. I seen it coming off the hill.
This was Sunday or this was
Monday?
The
next
first
day, yeah.
Okay.
It went down behind some trees. But actually, it was on the other guy's property, kinda.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of trees there, and I pulled up real quick and shot at it, and I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
I put another round in the gun. By that time, it come up closer. I could see it then. It was only about, it might have been a little closer from here to that Jeep. Maybe
So 50
25.
yards.
No, it was about 25 yards.
So what are you doing? Why are you slacking on the yardage?
I don't know.
I'm not 50 yards.
I'm not even.
No,
I'm just kind of peeking. I don't know.
It was about 25 yards.
So you had shot at it already.
I missed him.
And missed the deer.
I didn't
Was
touch
he
it.
running?
No, he's just standing there. Look, I couldn't hardly see him. There were so many trees there.
Okay. And there was snow on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And you were just standing by a tree.
Yep.
And here he comes just walking through.
He came down off that hill and he walked behind them trees and he stopped.
Okay. And
I
you
thought I
shot
seen him, but it must not have. They were removed after I shot at him.
Okay.
I missed him the first shot.
Okay. And then what did he do right after you shot?
He didn't run or nothing. He come straight at me, stepped right out in the open. I got him the next shot.
So my next question is, this must not have been a very high pressured hunting area because nobody hunted there. The deer were just kind of like doing whatever they wanted to do. Yep. They weren't pressured by hunters. The only thing they'd really encounter would be tractors or cows or like maybe a dog.
I was in the cow pasture.
Well, that's what I mean. Like nobody's really scaring them around. Nobody's like, hunting them or nothing. They're just doing it's like natural. They're not.
Yeah, there was a lot of snow on the ground that year, so I just tagged them and gutted them out. It was a cornfield. I drug them up in there. And I buried them like in the snow
to hide it
in the furrow.
Because you were real far away from like your truck or your house, or
I was probably to hide it or to keep them cold.
Just to hide it, because I wasn't going to drag them back through that snow. I had to drag them uphill, and I had to drag them probably
25 yards.
No,
just
probably,
kidding, because I looked at the window.
Probably from here down to that bar. What's the name of that bar?
The All Stars?
Yeah, probably from here down to All Stars.
A couple hundred.
It was uphill.
300,
maybe more.
Uphill.
Like 400 yards.
Yeah. Couldn't drive the truck back in there. It was too deep.
Okay.
So I walked back to the milk house, and here they always kept that boiler going because they boiled milk in there 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So George was sitting there. I said, "Where's the 4-wheel drive tractor?" He goes, "Oh, Frankie took it down to the other farm." So I says, "Can I borrow it?" I said, "I got a deer back there I'm going to get." "Yep, go get it. The keys are in it." So I set my gun in the milk house and I walked down and fired the tractor up. It was brand new.
Back then.
6400 John Deere with a cab and a bucket on it, 4-wheel drive. I plowed right down through there and threw them in the bucket. Drove back to the house. Your grandfather was standing there. I drove into the bridge with it. What are you doing? I said, look in the bucket. Where'd you get that at? I dumped it out and took the tractor back and got my truck.
Wow.
So back then, did you take your deer somewhere, or did you do it yourself? Or?
I think we just did it ourselves there. We always hung it up there in the bridge and just went off. And
The bridge. You say the bridge. Where?
that one we repaired, remember? We fixed the end of it up
So you'd hang deer off that.
inside of it.
Oh.
Huh.
It's like so describing it to these guys or you.
Yeah.
It's like
It's closed in on the bottom. It's got a roof on it.
Yeah, it's like a little covered bridge. So he had like a creek that would come down, and it was like so wide. He had a bridge over there. You drive like his tractors and stuff across.
On,
And then,
on their property?
yeah, where he grew up.
Okay.
And then the creek went on down, and then he had like
Yeah.
a path walkway that
There was a big pond there.
Yeah, there was a pond, and right before the pond, where the creek met the pond, he had a little covered bridge that just kind of continued his walkway out of his house to go to the other side of his
Over to
property,
the barn.
to the barn and stuff.
So when you guys packaged it yourself,
We didn't package it. We
what'd
just
you
cut
do?
off what we wanted.
You just cut off.
Yeah.
You didn't freeze any of it, or what?
It was cold enough it froze.
Okay. So where'd you wouldn't store it at all? Like you just eat it when
Just cut the hide off of it, skin it off.
So you wouldn't like package it, keep
Nah.
it for later, no? So what? I have so many questions now. So would you use the whole deer, or you just use part of it?
Yeah,
or
we
would you
used
just
most
cut
of
it
it.
off when you needed it?
Yeah, we just cut it off when we needed
So you
it.
left it hang there,
Hang
keep
there.
it cold.
Yeah.
Oh, because like it's not like it is now where
No.
it gets hot, cold, hot,
Yeah.
cold. It was just cold.
Well, that's what I was just
Every
wondering
year, I
if they
remember
did
we
that.
used to get
Okay.
snow before Thanksgiving.
All right. Something I want to notate is for anybody that's just listening and not watching, he does have all his deer. Can I see that? Here, so I just want to show. This is the second one. So if you guys are just not listening, I'm just showing his deer here. He brought it for display, so that's what it wanted to go about. But yeah, so that's very interesting. I guess I never like thought about it hanging there and you just cutting it. Did you make anything in the burger ever?
No.
No, you didn't hand.
One year we made some like sausage. We stuffed it, smoked it. We had an old refrigerator we made into a smoker.
Okay.
It turned out pretty good.
Yeah. Huh. That's awesome. So did your father own any land back then too?
8 acres.
8 acres. And then did you just it was like up the road from there?
Right across the
Right
road.
Right across the road? Okay.
300 acres.
300 acres. Okay.
2 farms there.
Yeah, they had a big dairy farm, pretty much. It was just that's all they did. They didn't work. That's what they did.
They bottled milk 3 days a week and had a milk right in Butler. They did every day.
Yeah, they delivered
They
their own milk.
sold eggs there.
Would they deliver it to you guys? Drop it off?
Yeah, we drove back and got it.
Yeah,
Would it be in like glass bottles?
Yeah, in quart ones.
yeah, and they had.
I'll tell you where the old machine is they used to use. It's out there at the steam engine shed. That's who he donated it to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like they literally did the whole thing, like milked the cows, did the bottling, delivered it, the whole nine, the whole. There was no middleman in it.
Yeah.
They did the whole. There was only 2 of them, 2 brothers, right?
And the one son helped.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's crazy. They didn't
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
I mean, they probably made good enough money.
How many
Oh,
cows you think they had?
They probably had to hand do it and everything.
probably
Yeah.
20, 30 the most.
Well, I don't think did they hand milk them? They didn't.
They had machines they hung
Yeah,
on.
back then. I mean, I guess it was probably not state of the art.
There's an
but-
airline run through and they hooked the airline up to them.
Ah,
You still had
okay.
to hook it on with your hands.
Uh-huh.
That's why they couldn't walk around. They had bad knees from kneeling down that concrete
all the time.
All the
twice
time.
a day.
Yeah, that's all they did their whole
Suck.
lives.
Great. They were all crippled up.
Someone had to do it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean,
Yeah.
just milk,
Mhm.
really.
Exactly.
Yeah, big old tractor. What do you have? A 50-20 John Deere. He pulled 7 bottom plows with that.
Yeah, they plant all their own cow feed, corn.
I
make
helped
silage
the
and
kid
everything,
plant one
everything.
year. That's when I shot this deer in the spring. I helped him plant corn there for a whole week.
They grew what corn,
I
soybeans.
ran that new tractor. I did all the disking.
What What about hay? They made their own
Yep.
hay.
They put
Everything.
They had these silos they built.
Mhm.
They were the last one they put up was a 20 by 60. It was 20 feet wide and 60 feet high. They didn't put no scaffolding up. They put the roof on it and they built it. They just kept jacking it up,
Jacking it up and
building it off the
Wow.
ground. It was in sections.
Okay, I got
They
what you're saying.
they bolted them together, them sections.
Just kept making it higher and
Yep.
higher and higher.
Like essentially, it's like
It's first they poured the concrete, the base.
it's like a giant canning jar.
Yeah, it's got
Okay.
When
it's got
you-
some kind of
Yeah.
ceramic in it.
Okay.
So it's like
It had a bottom unloader in it.
it has to be like completely airtight, just like a
Mhm.
canning jar, because that's more or less what you're doing. Like
After
you're-
they built it, they pumped air into it and they sprayed the outside
to
the
make
whole
sure
way.
it was airtight.
So, because when they overlap those pieces, they put like tar or glue or caulking on it.
So like essentially, what you're doing is like making.
Yeah, I watched them
It's kind
build
of like
two
how
of
you
them.
make sauerkraut with corn and corn stalks
Yeah.
in a silo.
That hay was dry, but it wasn't when they put it
rots,
in
but
there.
it's
Rot, yeah.
fermenting.
Okay, interesting. So your buck, when you first seen it, did you
This one.
realize how? Yeah, did you realize how big it was, or
I seen this one the year before
Okay.
I got them. I was doe hunting down in the same place. I heard these dogs barking. It was like the first day of doe season. So I just stood there and here there was 6 does with this deer. I just stood there and they come running. They're probably 30 yards from me. They come running by me and I shot one of the does off. This buck was with it because his horns were real white.
hmm
I mean, it really stood out when you seen him.
Yeah.
Yep, and I shot him the next year.
So that year was he as many points, or he
Yeah,
wasn't?
he was that big at least. Yep.
So those 2 point, these potential points, like one here
Yeah.
and one on
there's
both
like one over
sides.
there,
What do you
potential.
do? You
Yeah.
think like that one looks like it's like almost maybe broke off, or it just grew weird. So would have
Yeah.
been
He
a
probably broke it off when it was in the velvet,
Yeah.
I'd
Well, he
say.
had a bot fly in it.
Yeah,
too.
see a hole in it?
That's a big hole.
Yeah, it's a big hole in.
I don't think I've ever seen a hole. I mean, I've seen a couple with like the hole in them, but not quite that large.
Yeah, it's almost like the end like broke off.
Yeah.
His one left side, and then it kind of like reattached itself. It
Yeah.
almost
Yeah,
looks
or
like.
maybe he just like broke it and the velvet kind of held it.
Yeah,
there.
and then
Like,
it just kind of
That was
grew.
part of a horn arrow, wasn't it?
I don't know. He broke this one. Though.
Yeah.
This one's broke.
Yep.
Yeah.
See,
I suppose he was fighting with another deer. I don't know.
and that was a big deer for them too.
Oh yeah, I bet.
For the
I mean,
'90s.
Yeah.
Was there was a point restriction then.
I don't know when they started that. 90s?
Yeah, and so
I can't remember when they started that.
the year before, you didn't shoot him because you didn't have a buck tag, or
Well,
what-
that
or
was
what?
just that was when they had
Just
separate
doe,
doe
it was
season.
doe season, and then
Right.
you seen him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So actually buck season was over when I seen him there.
Okay. So when you were gonna go, did you like say I'm gonna get that deer next year, or you just
Nope,
like
I just kept hunting back there.
Yeah.
Did you
Okay.
see any other deer
No.
ever?
Nope.
Really?
That was the only one I ever seen back there.
Oh.
I guess the grandson got a big one. I never seen it.
But you hunted there all the time. Like you hunted small game back
Yep.
there. You hunted turkeys. You hunted deer.
Yeah, I
you
saw a
hunted-
lot of turkeys back there, right in the pasture. Your grandfather got some back there too.
So you guys were back there all the time. But it seems like maybe, even though it was like an ag field setting and everything, like there wasn't a lot of deer in there, which is strange to me.
Well, I remember Dean telling me back then there wasn't that many deer around. There wasn't as many.
See, and there's another
everywhere.
farm next to that Adamowski farm. They farmed it, but then they just kind of, I think somebody else finally bought it. They didn't farm it anymore.
So this deer was probably pretty smart
Mhm,
to
yeah.
live that
So there
long
was
back
like-
then.
There was that next farm there below that one, and then there was like down behind your grandfather, there's another farm over there where they built that VA hospital.
Yeah. These were, so there were several large farms.
That was
all
Harold's, and
around
then
the
there's
area.
Whitmire's. There was 120 acres there. It was always farmed.
I mean, maybe the deer just really just hid out there, and they
Yeah.
knew that there
That-
wasn't a lot
That's
of
pretty
hunters.
big, 120 acres just for sale.
Yeah. But you said where you hunted was 300.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Have you been around the whole 300?
yeah.
Wow.
Like
That's
I
a
said, there
lot
wasn't that
of
much
land.
woods in it.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense too. So
Yeah,
because
so
I
Deer
mean, there was a
hide
piece
wolves.
in it, but
Yeah.
so they probably just used it more or less as like a food
Food,
source,
yeah.
and then that was it.
So they're coming from somewhere else. And
Yeah, where there was
Valid.
woods.
I never, that's deer I bet was probably coming off that other farm. It was pretty big too, the next one down to it.
The next farm down. Beside
Well,
it.
yeah, and there was like a lot of woods across there.
Now, what gun did you shoot that with? The same 270. I'll get it.
No, I shot that one with that Ruger.
Yeah, this one right here. This gun.
Yep, I used to own that. That still had a wooden stalk on it then. I switched
it?
to that. Yep.
Yeah, just a. So, what year do you think this gun is? It's a Ruger M77 and 270. Nothing fancy.
Shit.
I think it had the same scope on it, didn't it?
I probably won that in 81 or 82.
So you
I'm
won
thinking.
this?
Yeah. Yeah, from some rod and gun club up north.
Was
Some
this
la-
like your first Ruger gun?
Yep, some guy, some lady down at work was selling tickets.
And this is the gun you shot that deer with.
Yep.
And it had a wood stock on it
Yep.
back then. And then it had the same scope on it.
Yep. Yep. That's the scope he had on it. Because those mines, you ain't got no bases. See what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
telling
just
you.
right on the.
They're cast right into the receiver.
Yeah.
So you got to use them Ruger rings on it.
Uh-huh.
I swapped the foreplate out.
So what year is this gun about? Like 80s?
Probably.
This was in the 80s. I didn't realize this gun was
80,
that old either.
81.
Holy crap, that's
Yep.
old. No. That was like some of the. When did Ruger start first making rifles?
I'm looking at book.
So this is older than I thought it was.
I mean, you can tell from like the stock, like the texture and stuff, that it's not the same.
I
as
bought
they
that
make it.
stock
Yeah.
off of Bass Pro Shop. It's a Ramline
Yeah,
stock.
you have the other one.
Okay. Is it newer, like this stock?
Is the stock?
Same stock.
No, he's asking, is the stock way newer than the gun? Yes.
Not that much.
Okay.
Okay.
Which that was another thing back then, which I've asked you about also. People didn't have plastic or synthetic or composite stocks back then. It was all wood. Everybody had a wood stock. There wasn't a gun out there without a wood stock on it, right? The first one you were saying was like a Remington nylon 66, which was a
Well,
22.
them come out in the 60s in nylon.
Yeah, but other
That's
than
because
that,
DuPont Chemical Company owned that.
Other
They
than that,
developed that.
everybody had a wood stock on their gun. There was no, it was like completely out of the ordinary to see a gun without a
Yep.
wooden stock on it, right? Even in the
Basically.
90s, too.
Unless you had it custom built and you wanted one of them on it.
Yeah, or like a laminate stock
Yeah.
or something. There wasn't what we have
That
today.
was still wood, that laminate.
Well, yeah, but there wasn't anything like we have today where you can go out and buy
Right.
there's several stock options for every gun they make. It was all wood. Wood, that's it. Which is,
Believe it
kinda
or not,
crazy.
that 700's got a plastic trigger guard on it.
That's terrible. So,
That's to
that
cut down on the
brings us-
weight.
really, I mean, do you have any more questions, really, for that deer?
No, nothing about that deer. No.
So, then, I mean, of course, he kind of did the same thing with it, with the, like you said, the bondo and the deer hide. This one's a little bit fancier. If you can see it, they like routed it real fancy, kind of like an arrowhead, I guess, was the idea.
Yeah,
Your dad
yep.
made this too,
Yep.
didn't he? And then you stained it, and then did the same thing with the bondo and the ribbon and the tacks and stuff, but with red instead of yellow, like that one. And so this is really cool too, and I wanted you to bring this. So you've spent, years and years and years out in the wilderness and hunting and fishing and all that, and you've never found a shed until you found that one,
That's the first one I ever find.
which you're, older, and
Old. You're old.
You want to
That's
taste
what he's
it?
trying to say.
and Tucker now. Tucker likes antlers. I mean,
Yeah.
all dogs really do.
That's too
He
sharp
has his
for you.
own.
Yep. Dean will be
Tucker.
wanting to cut the points off this for you.
Yeah. So you found that when?
Must have been 2015.
Okay. And so you've hunted lots of private land. Where you
I
hunted
found
at
this on
farms.
public land.
Well, you've also hunted
Yeah,
lots of public
right.
land, like that. Where you found that at? You've hunted that for years and years
I
and
hunted
years.
down at my grandfather's place. That was all private.
Okay,
30
that was
acres.
down by Moraine State Park.
Right on the edge of it.
Before, well, you were there before and after
Right.
they made it a park
I chased a lot of guys off there too.
because they thought it was public hunting land. So you've hunted lots of private and public, and I mean, even where you found that, you've hunted that a long time, like I said, and all around there, all the old, I would say, old farms that the park bought, and they turned it into public hunting, but they still farm it, and there is a lot of woods in a lot of them still, and so
That's what keeps the deer there, planting that corn there.
it kind of makes us not feel so bad, to me anyhow, that we haven't really found any sheds either, and that was his first one, which that's an awesome.
I found a lot of smaller ones not too far from that. They were like maybe about that long.
The same day.
Same month.
Okay. So in the same area, and
then
you just happened to find, which is crazy you didn't find the other side, because it's very common that when deer, I mean, especially like that large, I mean, look at the mass.
You want to look around where a fence is, like where it jumps a fence.
A lot of mass.
It just takes a little bit, it'll jar it.
It was probably like a really, like a tight 8-point, just because of how it's grown. Like if you can see how it's really grown.
But now being that guy ripped that all up, you probably have a tough time finding them.
And yeah, it's crazy you didn't find the other side. I would have thought you would have, but
I went back and looked, but I never found it.
He would have felt imbalanced. So
yeah, and then they want to get it off there, but
it doesn't make you feel as bad because we didn't find anything last
year. Some of them guys driving
year,
in and give them in their tires on a tractor if they hit them right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's definitely a really nice shed to find.
So
that'd be awesome.
So that's the right side, I guess.
Well, yeah.
Right.
If you're looking at it from the front, but a left.
It's the left side.
The left.
So when did you find that? What month?
I think it was like February.
Wow, that's kind of early.
Mm-hmm.
Late February.
Okay.
No, almost into March.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of snow on the ground. I just walked up over the hill into that field there, and there it was laying there.
In a field. In the middle?
Up on top.
Side? Like off to the side?
Off to the side of it, yeah.
Okay.
No, it was in the middle on the edge of the field.
Okay. Wow. And it was just laying, nothing over it?
No.
Was it laying face down? Or?
Just laying there like this.
Like this?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it fell straight down.
That's crazy.
Some of it in the dirt?
No, it wasn't even in the dirt. It was just laying there. The ground was froze.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I guess it was February.
I mean, it's December now and the ground isn't frozen.
I know, but I'm saying like back in February.
Yeah, there was already snow on the ground for probably a month or two.
Yeah. That's crazy. So.
All right, so I got a question for you, Stan.
Yeah.
So growing up, and I guess even onto now, how come you didn't ever think about or go into archery hunting? Like you never considered it?
Just never interested me.
No.
Did anybody you know really do it?
Your grandfather used to years ago.
With like a recurve bow. Was he any good at it?
He shot a few, I guess.
Oh wow.
Yeah, him and that Emery used to go out hunting.
With recurve bows. Like did they use
it wasn't even a recurve, was it?
Yeah, back then that's probably all they had really. I mean they had compounds, but that wasn't
It's an old green one he had. What the hell was it?
It didn't have cams on it or
nothing. No.
Yeah, recurve or it wasn't a long bow.
Well, that guy up there was a big archery hunter, that Bill Bunger. Maybe he had a big archery range set up down there in the woods made out of binder twine. He had deer made out of.
Imagine all the stuff they had to make back then. Like they didn't have archery targets you could buy or like none of that stuff.
I mean, he made full size ones out of binder twine.
What did he targets? Like square targets?
No, it was like a ball, like a mount. Made them out of binder twine.
He made a deer mount out of binder twine.
Just shoot with a bow.
I don't know what he made the body out of. It was covered up with binder twine.
Huh.
Wow. Just to shoot with a bow.
Yeah, and he had like an archery range set up. Like he had different places you could shoot
And
at it.
what year was this? In the 60s?
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
60,
Wow.
64,
And this
65.
guy like made all this stuff
Yeah, that's crazy.
in the 60s because you
Mhm.
couldn't buy it. And I mean,
Yeah.
back then, you didn't have hunting clothes like you do today. You couldn't buy
He
pants or
bought
boots.
coveralls like
This was your dad.
this Bunger did. He
Okay.
bought these pennies, I think, used to sell them. They're pretty heavy.
And this was a neighbor guy down the street that
Up the road.
also had a farm.
Well, he's related to them Adamowski. They were
Okay.
cousins.
Okay. So they also had a
He had
farm.
about 80 acres he farmed.
Okay.
So he bought these coveralls just at Penny's or someplace.
Mhm.
He had a billy goat he'd take them and rub them on. That's where he killed the scent. Man, that thing really
For
stunk.
archery.
Yeah. Yep.
Get a different scent on.
So let me get like to put in perspective. Coveralls are like a one-piece suit. Back then they didn't have a hood on them.
No.
They just had like a collar.
Yep.
And they had a zipper in the front and maybe
Yep.
zippers down the legs. And
Yeah, that Penny's made a good pair.
and you
Them and
didn't have to-
Montgomery Ward's made good
what
ones.
color were they?
Green.
They were
Like a
just
dark
green.
green.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
All he wore.
and they weren't waterproof or windproof. They were just insulated, maybe.
Nope, didn't have no trigger releases or nothing.
Well, yeah, you just use your fingers because it was a
Tried them
recurve bow.
arrows with, they were probably wooden arrows.
Oh yeah, he probably could make his own. Did he make his own?
Nah.
No, he bought them. They were probably feathered arrows.
Feathered arrows.
So he would rub the coveralls on his goat, a male goat,
Yep.
to
Kill the odor.
kill the odor to go archery hunting. Now, did he use a tree stand or did he just stand on the ground or what?
I think he hunted on the ground mostly.
So you and
He might have had tree stands they built, permanent ones.
okay,
'cause
out of wood or whatever.
He had some permanent ones built down that range he laid out.
So him and your dad would archery hunt sometimes. Wow. And they shot some deer.
Yeah, they went to Canada a few times fishing, bear hunting.
Wow.
They'd go up there. That one bear he had, man, that's where it come from.
Canada. So another popular thing, I mean, now we're on the topic of hunting clothes or whatever. They would buy Woolrich, am I right? Brand.
Yeah.
That was the brand. Coveralls.
No, they made pants and a coat.
Okay. And
It was red and black.
yeah, and people would just they would always get black ones and then they would
They were red.
okay, so
The
instead of
Woolrich.
orange, they would get red. So they could
Now-
be seen.
Before I ever started hunting, like when I was 12, I used to go, like I was still in school, like 4th or 5th grade. I'd always pin like a big piece of red cloth on the back of my coat.
What color was your coat? It was a Woolrich one.
No, it wasn't. It might have been
Because
red.
they didn't have camouflage. They didn't have nothing hunting related.
You didn't have to wear no orange or nothing back then.
Well, you couldn't go out and just buy a
Bef-
designated hunting coat.
That's before I ever bought a hunting license. When I used to go with my grandfather or my dad.
So it was just like a different time back then because they didn't have hunting
I remember the
clothes.
last time I went hunting with them. We went down 528.
This was in the 60s.
Yeah, 67, I'm thinking. 67,
Okay, so late 60s.
66. I was in 4th grade.
Jeez.
It really snowed bad that year. And my grandfather was there, and now my dad, which is your grandfather.
Hmm.
I went hunting with them.
Hunting deer.
Yeah, this is the first day. It was really cold. It was snowing. I remember we bought these. My feet always used to get cold, so we bought these felt packs with leather soles on them, and we put them inside of a pair of Arctics. They worked pretty good.
Like Arctic boots.
Yeah, them 5 buckle ones, because
Okay.
they didn't have nothing
Back then. Like no
like
hunting
sorrels
boots.
or.
Mhm.
I remember we walked up this old road. That was right after the park went in. I think it wasn't open yet, but they were still building it. We parked down there by 528 where the bridge goes across where the boat launch is.
This is before the bridge was there.
Yeah, I don't think the bridge might not have
Wow.
been there if I remember
Was
right.
the lake there?
they didn't have it flooded yet. It was
Okay.
still.
So we're talking about Moraine State
Yeah,
Park.
it
If
used to
anybody's
be.
questioning.
Used to be a guy named Martsoff that lived there. We parked in his driveway.
Because they essentially like bought everybody's land and farms and
Most
everything
of it.
all around
Yep.
there. You said they like bulldozed all the trees down, just burn them.
Yeah,
Like
they put a big blade out into them D9s, and the guy just kept driving into it. They cut it off.
and then they would just
They
push all the houses down. Some of them they left
well,
standing.
they moved ours.
They moved some of them,
It's up on the old road.
which he used to live down there, and essentially just like took it all over. You didn't have a choice,
Right.
and they created that park and flooded it all,
Yep.
and built bridges and flooded roads, and now it's
Anyways,
just,
we parked in that guy's driveway and hiked up over the hill. I think it was right there at the end of the bridge where it is now if you're going north. Before you get down to the boat marina, we went up into the left.
so it was you could hunt there before they
Yeah.
had it flooded. It was public land.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we walked up over there, and it was really cold. We walked up there like out onto a point. I might be able to find it today, but I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sitting there, and I've got cold. He says, I'm going to build a fire. So he's down there building a fire, and his buck comes out there, and he wheeled around.
Your dad.
He missed it. Pussy pissed. He's really mad at me.
That he missed it.
Yeah. I wasn't old enough to carry a gun then.
Oh, why was he mad at you?
Well, if I wouldn't have been building that fire, I'd have got him.
Oh, okay. I'm sure he was cold too.
Oh, boy, it was cold.
Where was your grandfather at when all that transpired?
He was hunting someplace else not too far from there. See, he worked down there for the park. So he tell you about all them spots.
Okay, that he knew about. Wait a minute,
Yep.
So was your dad, was he how would you describe hunting with him though? Did he tell you not to make sound? Would you'd be too loud or anything like that? Would he
I remember
yell you or anything?
I remember the last deer I shot I was with, and we were down there on that Grindle Road. There's a lot of houses there now, but there wasn't back then. Down below where that greenhouse is at, like from there down to that other road, there was no houses. I remember we're out there, used to be able to spot before deer season. We're spotting like Sunday, Saturday
with an
night,
old
Sunday.
spotlight.
Well, it was best you could buy back then.
And this was in the 60s.
Yeah,
Okay.
67, I think.
Still, okay.
There
About the same time.
we spotted this buck in this field right below before he got to that greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So we had like three or four spots picked out. So we put all the names in a hat, and I picked one out, and that's where we went down to Grindle Road.
So that's how you picked.
That's the last time we did it. Yeah, so
Okay.
we roll in there the first day on a Monday. Oh heck, you couldn't. There was a million guys standing along that road. So we parked the truck, and I said, "How are we going to get up in there?" Well, we'll have to go right around. We had this like a little place we picked out back up in there. Oh, probably took maybe half an hour to walk up in.
Out around. To
Well,
avoid all these people.
there was a deer trail there. We walked out around and hit it then. These
Mhm.
guys were all standing along the road there.
Mhm.
We had like a tree picked out. I had a little place they put there to sit down, and I'm sitting there. It's right on a deer trail. As soon as it got daylight, I see this deer coming. It's about from here to that dresser from me. Its ears are twitching. I'm trying to laugh. I'm like, geez, I better not do that. I'll scare it. There was two of them there.
Yeah.
They went on by. Pretty soon this buck comes trotting by.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that old gun your granddad had? Oh, it was a 300 Savage.
That was the caliber.
Yeah, with the rotary mag. It was a lever action, a rotary magazine.
So it was like a Model 99.
Yeah, that's what it was.
In 300 Savage.
Yep.
Okay.
It had a weird safe on it. They had a safe down here on the lever. Didn't have it up on the tang. So he's left-handed, so that ain't too good for a left-hander because it's on the wrong side.
Yeah.
It's on the right. I guess he finally got the safe off it. He cranked a couple rounds off it. It's running, and it ran across this creek, and it was probably about I'm going to say it's 35, 40 yards. It ran across the creek and then standing there looking back, he blasted it finally.
How big was it?
I can't remember. It was a pretty, I'm thinking it
Like
was
an 8-point?
yeah.
How come?
A big 6.
Did you have a gun?
No, I wasn't old enough to
Okay,
hunt.
so you would just go with them.
It was 4th grade.
Okay. So this was about the same year that you went down to the park also. Like the story you just had previously told. You were in 4th grade then too, in
Yeah.
1967. Okay.
So he got tagged, got out of that. I carried the gun out. He's dragging a deer, and all them guy goes, "Where'd you get that at?" Back up in the woods, you ain't getting nothing along the road.
Yeah, that's crazy. So there was a lot of hunters back then too.
Yeah, just because the park had it. That's the park bought all that ground down in there.
So when you went with your dad, though, would he be like kind of like telling you to be quiet, or you break a twig? Would he yell at you or anything like that?
Not really. I knew
No?
not to mess around and screw it up.
He would.
That's how I was
You
wondering.
told me a couple stories before, like where he'd be mad at you because you didn't shoot at it or whatever. Or...
Well, that was in doe season. The first year I started hunting. He said, "You see any deer? Don't matter how far away, is shoot at them." Well, I think I went through like 2 boxes of shells almost.
In one day,
Yeah.
shooting a deer too far away.
We were down behind Granite Badgers hunting that strip mine.
So by the park,
there were deer all over the place, and it wasn't all grown up like it is
so
now.
you could see real far.
Oh yeah. So I'm shooting at them.
And how old were you?
12. First year I started
So you
hunting.
were by yourself too?
No, I was with them.
Yeah, but didn't you, they weren't with? Were they with you, or were they kind of out close by?
They were close by.
Okay, so that's what I'm getting at. You're kind of by yourself.
So I'm shooting at them. I'm down to like, I must have about 10 rounds left out of them 20 rounds.
So what gun was it?
I had that Savage 99C at 308.
Okay, that you got rid of.
Yep. Anyways.
So you had that ever since you were a kid.
Yep.
Wow.
Anyways, I had some bad luck with it. It burned shells off, burned them in half because it was military brass. It's too hard.
Back then,
What?
that's what you were shooting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, so I took a day off from school.
To go hunting.
Yeah, because it was like doe season. Then you had 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had a doe license for Butler County. They didn't have these other
Wildlife
areas.
Management Unit. It was counties.
Butler County.
It was counties back then.
So how many deer did I shoot? I shot some in the morning. I think my other uncle was there, Uncle Dick. You didn't know him. My mom's brother.
Okay.
He was there. We chased deer all around back in there. So getting down toward the end, almost the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So they up above Granite Badger's place. It was what was that guy's name? Ken Newton. Yeah. There's a house built there now. It's a big grove of pines there on the right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 2-story house they built there. That wasn't there then. So I walked down in there and they drove the pines out. Here comes 6 deer doe down out of them.
Mm-hmm.
They were about from here to that gazebo from me.
Yeah.
They
down
come down out.
Yards.
Nah, that ain't no 100 yards. That's only about 40, maybe 50.
Yeah, that's probably
50.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. They come down out of the pines and they started to go to the left. So I put the old rifle up. It's all brushy around there where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
It was like around the edge of the high wall. I finally cranked off around at them and the deer took off. I seen blood all over the place.
Yeah. There was snow on the ground.
Oh yeah. Your grandfather come down out. All he had was a 44 Magnum.
Handgun.
Yeah. So we see it. It's running up over the hill there and it stopped up. You know where that Moore guy lives, that Frank Moore?
Kinda. I haven't been back
there was another house over next to it. They moved up from my way because Vernon Curry lived in it. But
okay.
it was way down to this. There was a field down here. It ran up where you could see blood on. He cranked off about 3 rounds at it, but
With his handgun.
yeah, but he was holding high. He said, here's we picked out the good shells out of what I had left.
Yeah.
They weren't military brass. He said, you go where you were standing this morning. He said, that deer will probably head that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I beat it up over the hill, down past Frank Moore's place, and up above where Uncle Bob lived.
Mm-hmm.
Up there where Granddad had that dump.
Yeah.
I went out across there onto his property and then crossed back over his fence. And there was a pine grove down there in the pines
Mm-hmm.
in the park.
Yeah.
On the other side of the fence, I went down there and I stood there and I was standing there maybe 3 minutes. And here comes the deer.
The same deer.
Yeah. Come out around that hill.
Yeah.
It was hit.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a shot off at it. And I went down there like that, and then there was like a fence rail went up the fence along the road. They put those cyclone fences up.
Yeah.
It didn't have enough gumption to jump across it. So when it come to it went like that, and it started back toward the lake.
Along the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started tracking it up over the hill. Up over, I tracked it. I got up on top there. Got up on a flat. It's kind of like a clearing there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Granddad Badger was there too. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So here it ran out of steam up there. Finally, it just.
Really? You didn't have to shoot it again? Or
Well, I shouldn't even tell you this. Here, my grandfather pulls a handgun out that 28 he had.
Yeah.
That 357. He had it in a small game coat. Here, finish it off. So I finished it off with a handgun. So we drug it back down 422 to the exit ramp.
Wow.
So here we were hunting up around Eau Claire before that.
Yeah.
It was real cold in buck season. We were way back in a road back there. That Les Martin lived up there. I seen a deer, but it was too far off to shoot it. It took you 2 days to drag that thing out of there.
Okay.
I remember I got cold, so I went. He gave me the keys to go back to the truck.
So this was also in like 1967.
No, I had a gun then. I was old enough to hunt.
Okay, you were 12.
That must have been that was in buck season
in the
the same
70s
year.
maybe.
Buck season the same year.
Okay, that was
Well,
your last story.
We were hunting bucks up there. I think I set that gun at the tree and it must have fell over. It must have knocked the scope off.
Yeah.
So that's when I shot at that doe. It was off. It knocked it off.
Oh.
I never reshot it.
Okay.
Boy, was it cold that year. I forgot about that.
So you knew what you forgot. You knew your scope was
I
off.
figured it was, but I didn't figure it hit that ground that hard. It just laid down in the snow, but probably didn't take much to bump it.
Back then too. Like
Yeah, because that
scopes were
truck had a
probably not
clutch
great.
in it.
Whose truck?
Your grandfather's.
What was it? A Ford?
Yep.
19 what?
See, at 65 was the first one he bought. It must have been about a 69. Must have been about a 70.
2-wheel drive.
Yep,
Wow.
yep. He never bought a 4-wheel drive till he used to buy all his trucks up there at Buckham's and Slip Rock. He was an authorized Ford dealer.
Yeah.
They ain't even there anymore. I think the
No.
college built a lot of buildings there.
Yeah.
Then that guy from McCandless Ford come down there and started up under a different name.
Mm-hmm.
I think Taylor must have turned them in.
Hmm.
So your grandfather went up and ordered a 4-wheel drive. It was going to take 6 months to get one.
Yeah. In the 70s.
70s, yeah.
Okay.
So he called him up and finally come in. He wanted $600 more for it.
Yeah.
And the back bumper wasn't on. He told him to keep it.
Jeez.
I can't even think of the name of that. It had some other name to that dealership.
Hmm.
Here I think that Taylor must have turned him in from Grove City. He was already established.
Any other stories, questions you want
I
to
mean,
cover?
I know he has one other story.
Okay.
That one where your grandfather fell in the creek.
Oh, yeah. That was in doe season.
You were old enough to hunt then.
Yeah, that was 19.
Probably the 70s.
No. I'm thinking it was 19. Yeah, see, I was still in school. Yeah, so it'd be like, yeah, 74, maybe 73.
Okay, and it was what? Probably December. Cold.
Well, still
Snow.
had the doe season like it used to be after buck season.
Hmm.
So I took another day off from school. I stood at 308 then. He had a 30-06 Springfield.
Of course.
We went over there. It was on the edge of the park, over there on Mount Union.
Hmm.
Pepper's that guy's name. My grandfather knew him. We hunted on his farm. So we hunted someplace in the morning, then we come down after lunch and went over there. We just got down there. There's just a little strip of woods along there, and I'm standing there. And these deer come out of the corner. It was like, I think 5 or 6 of them. So I mowed one of them down. I might have mowed the other one down. My grandfather's shooting at them. We must have shot about 5 or 6 rounds here.
Each.
Almost, yeah.
Potential.
I knew I got one. So I went over to tag mine. He's still shooting at it. I said, well, he said, there's another one laying over there across the creek. Okay. So, boy, I didn't realize that creek was that deep. It was probably about as wide as that tail. Boy, is it deep.
Mm-hmm. In the wintertime.
Yeah, there was snow on the
like
ground.
3 foot.
So he should have left his gun lay there, but he's trying to call across that log on his hands and knees. He fell in.
So there was a log across the creek.
He fell in. Holy heck. He was real short, man. He was in the water up there to his chest. He walked across to cut the deer and he walked back across. I'll never
He just
forget
walked
that.
back across with the deer. He said, I'm already wet.
Oh,
Whatever.
we had to drive the whole way home. Like, holy crap, was it
Oh.
wet.
I bet that was cold.
cold,
And
too.
your clothes were probably like a sponge
Yeah.
back then.
Yep.
Oh,
I think he had like a small game hunting outfit on. He might have had.
miserable.
Yeah, boy, was it cold.
Jeez.
We didn't have that far to walk to the car, but oh, jeez.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I like.
It was
that
definitely
story.
different times.
Yeah. I don't know. We're probably about the hour mark, so it's pretty good. I really enjoyed listening to all those stories, Stan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, those are ones I
probably got
haven't heard yet.
I probably got some of them I can't even remember.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of stories. So, I mean, I do have like one thing. I don't know how William wants to end it, but I do have one thing I like to do at the end of every podcast is I like to try to give like some kind of advice to a new hunter or any hunter wondering what's like some kind of advice that you'd like to give out there to a hunter that's either newer or they're just not
Well,
thinking of, you know.
if somebody's thinking about taking it up, don't take it up. Don't give up on it.
I mean, look, the last deer, like, for example, that you've shot was in 1997, and that was 26 years ago.
Yeah.
And he still hunts more than me. He hunts more than I do.
Don't give up on it.
That's what he's trying to say. I mean,
Yeah,
kind of put it into perspective.
and it's not just about getting the deer; it's about
Right.
being
It's
out
about
there,
being out there and
like spending time, I
yeah.
guess. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much mostly all you kill is time, not any deer. But that's part of it.
Don't do what I do and try to buy a new gun every 5 or 6 years.
You can.
You can, but that don't work.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't help.
I'll tell you what, I haven't shot a nice buck since I got rid of that 270.
So he bought another 270.
I bought another 270.
That's his thinking. And he hasn't had a 270 since then either.
I've had 2 of them. I haven't shot nothing since I shot that last nice one with it. Williams got that one now, so I got one of my own.
I only ever shot one deer with that, and that's that 6 point you probably can't see up there in the corner. That's the only deer I ever shot with it.
Yeah, so I personally think that this was a real good podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories and just kind of like the conversation.
And like there was a lot to learn. Like a
lot
of people aren't familiar with the old rules or how old hunting used to go, like, or even just like how everything used to be back then.
Well, back when I got my license, see, you had to be you had to have somebody with you, I think, till you were like 16.
Oh wow.
Oh, right.
I think. I'm not sure.
I think it's like that today
Yeah, I think
too.
it's still
It's
like
probably
that.
Yeah,
still
until you're
like
not a
that.
junior hunter.
Yeah, yep.
because back when I got my license, I just ran across the road there and hunted.
Mhm.
It seems like you were by yourself most of the time,
A
anyways.
couple of them game wardens tried to get me. They didn't.
Yeah, so we're kind of gonna end on that note, and hope you guys enjoyed it. I mean, we had the dog in here.
Good
first
luck
time.
hunting, and don't ever give up hunting.
Yep, some solid advice, 100% advice. I'm gonna take the antlers and show them around. One last clip showing everything, while we kind of end this. And we appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, hit the bell. Also, we're on Spotify, iTunes, and if you guys would like more podcasts like this,
Leave a comment
Yep, and if you want to hear more stories from Stan, definitely let us know.
or
'Cause
somebody else.
I've been trying to get him to do a podcast for a little bit, so I'm glad he finally wanted to do it.
And it was perfect because we got him to bring his deer horns, and we had a little story time about everything. And
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I didn't talk much. It was because I was actually listening and just in it myself. So
I mean, I've heard these stories,
yeah.
but still, I try to
Yeah,
elaborate
It's
on them.
a lot different hunting today than back 40 years ago.
So we're just kind of Cody's gonna show you the deer here.
Yep.
I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, again, that one's a 9-point. It has the big hole in the horn there, like that
Tell 'em what
caused
you
by
scored it
a
as.
bot fly. I scored it this morning roughly. It was like 114, and the final score was like 104 with all the deductions. As you can see, it's got a split brow tine on the one side, and the one main beam's messed up a little bit. It's probably bigger than anybody thought it was, honestly. It's pretty neat and unique. I mean, heck, it's pretty old. And even for back then, it's a big deer, like we said. And hopefully, you guys weren't bothered too much by my dog being in here. It's his first time being on a podcast, too. He's usually pretty good. And then that's his other deer. I mean, of course, it's only a 6-point, which back then, he said that was even a big deer in the 80s. He shot that in 1986. So, I mean, it's not terrible. You'd almost think it was an 8-point, but I'm sure back then it was like
It
gigantic.
looked big when it was going down through the field.
Yeah, I'm sure. And you said several other people tried to shoot at it also, so
Yeah, there was about 6 guys trying to shot
So-
at it.
obviously it's probably pretty big. So, and then he's gonna show him the shed again. Just a shed he found.
That was found on public property.
The only one he's ever found being hunting for what? 50 years? What, you've been hunting for 50 years, right?
Since I was 12.
Yeah.
Before that.
About 50 years. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this. We're just kind of going to end on that note. And, yeah.
Yep. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by and watching.